You're like,
Well,
let's go. Come on, let's get it going.
we all know we're gonna run out of time in a second.
I know. Before we get interrupted by another child.
Exactly. Well, hello.
Hello.
I was like, should we do the intro? I guess we should have done that little bit of admin before I hit record.
Sure, why not? We'll give them that.
Yeah, okay. Here, I can do it.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up since I don't have it memorized yet. Hi, you guys. Welcome to the Miles with Moms podcast. We're a podcast for moms chasing goals through all seasons of life. I'm Olivia.
I'm Shanna.
We are bringing you training tips, mom and expert interviews, and the kind of best friend banter that makes you feel like you're on a run with us. Whether it's your first 5K, your next marathon, or a stroller tempo, we've got your miles and your sanity. We would appreciate if you could rate, subscribe, and share our podcast with another fellow mama.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, it's a Sunday here, and we were we're impromptu doing a recording, just the two of us, is what I'm trying to say. But how are you?
Oh, I'm lovely. Listen, before we even hit record, we had a good little vent session because motherhood is freaking hard. Motherhood's hard, marriage is hard, raising kids is hard, adulting is hard. Period.
Yep.
End of
End of rant.
yeah. So that's why we're doing a banter episode, because it's needed. The reality versus expectation.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Yep,
the topic.
you had that right. It could go either way because it's just two things. There. We were just talking. I was like, "Oh, Shanna and pregnancy brain," and she was like, "No, I'm always like this," but no, it's it's just that it's a Sunday, and maybe we're not caffeinated enough. Maybe we were just, I don't even know. But yeah, I think it's just hard because, like, when we feel like we're in charge all week and like we have everything so high and tight, right? Like, this is how this is going to go, and this is our schedule, this is my schedule, this is the kids' schedule, and then adding in another person on top of that, it can just be a challenge. Like, not necessarily always in like a negative way, but it is a challenge, like, because they also have like their own wants and needs, and like it might not fit into what we want. And when it's also just not communicated ahead of time, it's like, well, that's just not how the day's gonna go. Sorry.
Yeah. I think it's always so hard because I view Sundays as like my day off too. And when your spouse comes home and I know his day off for your spouse is like fluctuates throughout the week, which is probably even messier. But like Sundays over here are my husband's day off too. And it's like his expectation is to go out, take the family out, do the normal routine that I do solo all week, even Saturday. And Sundays, I'm like, I just want to crawl in my bed with my pajamas on with like a good snack and watch my shows and binge them, in silence. Like, and
Exactly.
he wants to get out of the house because he's at the office all the time and he wants to be involved with the family. He wants us to have a big family day. And I love that. But I also just want to be with myself.
It's so true. And it's funny, like, especially as a runner, like, you need that day or any athletic pursuit, you need a day where you have a full rest, veg out day where you're not thinking of it. That's why I like love that Sundays coincide also with my rest day, or like you had an easy run today. Like, you just need a day to fully decompress where it's like, I was just talking about this yesterday. Like, I love full rest days where you're like, should I eat one pizza or two pizzas?
Yes.
1.5 pizzas? I don't know, but it's not just like, you're not focused on all the other things of like, oh, will this make me feel bad for my run and all these things, and yeah, you do need just like a veg out day, and it is hard adding in another person to that when they're wanting to like create memories, and you're like, not today. I want your memory of me to be like, wow, how is she one with the couch? Wow, she is really molded into that bed. My goodness, doesn't she have to get up at some point?
Yes. I mean, you don't look like that throughout the week, so it's okay to have one flipping day
One
that's like
day.
that. Just
Yeah.
one.
Exactly. So, yeah, we were like we so originally we were supposed to have an interview happening on this recording, and then we were like, "Well, what it didn't pan out. There was a connection issue." And then we were like, "Well, should we still do a recording?" And this is a good way for us to hang out even on a Sunday.
Yes. Honestly, I mean, my husband took our kids to go get food, and then Olivia's kids were gone for 20 minutes, but they're back now. We're not surprised. And, it's funny. We were on here and I was like, "Don't leave me by myself." As I'm complaining about how I just wanna be alone. Make that make sense.
It is just different. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's so true though, like, I can be in a full-on rage with my husband, and I'm like, "Well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this?" And then I turn around and I'm like, voice noting Shannon, I'm like, "Oh my god, you will not believe what just happened."
It is true. I've
Very
been there
different.
once.
Oh my gosh.
And they can
Well,
never know that, or
no.
they'll feel like they're second best, and it's probably true.
It's so true. This is such a funny thing though, because I don't know what it is. It's like, is it because we have different expectations of our friends than we do of our spouses? Or is it just like
Totally.
a more like lighthearted? I don't know what it is. Is it easier in some ways? Is there like
It feels like it.
it does. I know. I don't know. Like is it because communication is just different or easier? I mean,
Or
because
is there, like, a sense of relatability because 'cause we're both moms and we see it from the mom perspective?
I think that's
And so it's like, doesn't make sense to me because I'll never see it from the dad perspective. I'll never
100%.
understand. I'll never understand why it's
I don't either.
hard on the
I
dad
don't
side.
either. All it's done is like, watching, like, just working like, my husband back into our schedule, how you have to work yours back in. It really has shown me how different moms and dads are wired. Like, I always like, people talk about it, as you're growing up, and you'll hear it in shows and on TV, and then you get a firsthand experience, and you're like, "Wow, we are just wired so differently," you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just instinct, like, instinctually, like, if I see something like, if there's a towel on the floor, my instinct is, "Wow, I should pick that up. I don't care who put it there," you know? And, like, even with my son, it's like, immediately, like, "I didn't throw it there." It's like, "Well, just pick it up. You're
Yeah.
the closest one," you know? So,
You're
yeah,
like, "I know. I there's a lot of things I do around this house that I don't that it's not mine, but
yep,
I do it."
most of it is not mine.
Yes.
Why
Well,
would I a towel?
I know. Well, going into, like, expectations versus reality, Olivia ran a 10K
Yeah, I did.
yesterday. I was gonna say the other day, I was like, it was yesterday.
I
Why does
know.
this weekend feel so long? It's really funny, you guys, like, I feel like Olivia and I spent the whole day yesterday, Valentine's Day together because both our husbands were working. So,
Yeah.
that was our Valentine's plans. It was
Yep.
our children. It was it was parenting our kids together. But she ran that morning and she killed it. So how did it go?
Yay.
Tell our audience all about it.
Yeah, it was I know, it's so funny, that's so on brand for us to spend all
Yeah,
of Valentine's Day together.
I know.
Um, it was good. So the race started at 9:20 in the morning, which is just so I don't know, it's just so funny, and I'm thinking, like, the half marathoners, they're
So
starting
late.
it is late, which in so many aspects is so nice because you're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
don't have to wake up at 5 AM to go to a race," but then also it's like it's well into your day at that point, like, I'm thinking, "Okay, how much am I gonna be on my feet just before the race because
Yeah.
my kids are gonna eat, like, 10 breakfasts and
What
all this."
did you eat for breakfast?
I just did I did a big
That'd be
Belgian
hard.
waffle at, like, 6 AM, and then I did a
You're so
bagel
good.
at, like, 8:30 AM, so
That is, like, very dedicated.
Yeah.
'Cause I think I would put it off and put it off and then be like, "Oh, shoot, I need to eat something before I race."
That was kind of how I was like, "I don't know when the time
Yeah.
period is to eat something." I was like, "I should probably just have something right off the bat just in case." I was so nervous, and so I was getting in a little bit in my head of, like, what to expect, and, I'd been talking to my husband about it, and he was like, "Do you think you can run this pace flat out the whole time?" And I'm thinking, "I know this course so well. There's 2 massive, massive hills that are
Yeah.
going to get me." And so I had texted you beforehand and I was like, I just need to not see my marathon pace because I have trained on these trails so much and this race is on our home trail and I have been locked into this marathon pace for so long. And like no matter what effort I give it, it's like I just can't move out of this little range. And so I just needed to move out of that range. And I'm so glad that I was like I just went out the gate really hot, just it was like, "Beep, beep, beep, 5:17." I was like and then these
That's
guys,
like
like
what?
I was like, I don't know, I was like, "Obviously, that's too fast," but I just wanted to put some
Yeah.
distance between me and the people that were right behind me because I didn't know I had looked up what the 1st place girl got last year and it was like 50 minutes, 50, and so I was like, "Okay." So, I was like, "It's probably not a super competitive field." And anyway, there was these 2 people that decided that they were going to land on my shoulders and just run on my shoulders, and which, like, drives me nuts, okay? I had no idea it would drive me nuts. I was like, "Oh, yay, people to run with." And then they wouldn't come side by side with me, and so I was like, "What is happening?" And so just at that first mile turnaround, I noticed that they were right behind me, and I'm thinking like, "Oh, I'm not actually alone," and you can see all the people you're passing because it was an out and back, and I was like, "Oh, a lot of people are running really fast. This will be super competitive. That's super, super fun." And then I think that this one big hill is, like, where everybody started to separate. And so this guy was like I was excited because I was thinking like, "Oh, this guy is gonna be an amazing pacer for me." And he's, like, teetering in front of me and behind me and in front of me and behind me, and I was like, you gotta pick a pace. This is driving me nuts." Like, a 10K, the playlist is short. So you pick your, like, top 10 not even, but, like, your top 10 songs that hype you up, and so I'm like, I just wanted to listen to those songs, which, like, is funny to think about what I pick. I should share what I picked for my top 5.
You should. I'm so curious. Did Elsa make it on there?
Okay, Elsa made it on there. So it starts with Eminem, and
I
then
love
which
it.
is good. I mean, Lose
That's why you
Yourself.
went out on
Of
5:17.
course, yeah. So I don't know if I could ever start a race not listening to Eminem. Lose Yourself
Yeah.
is like the ultimate, but it has to come at the beginning of a race for me. But then I also have to put it towards the end of the race. And then we're gonna slowly get to Frozen at some point. So Elsa is there. She's always there. Because I it's so silly, but it's like when she's like like talking about running into your unknown, it's like that's exactly what we're doing at every race. We're showing up and we're running into our unknown. That's like my biggest race day mantra is like you just don't know what you're capable of. It's cool because with a 10K, you know that the race is going to be over really fast. So I'm thinking like I can divide it up however I want. I can do 2 miles, 2 miles, 2 miles. I want to hit this for 2 miles, 2 miles, 2 miles, like these different paces. Or like I want to do a 5K split at this and a 5K split at this. So it's just really short the way you can divide it up in your mind. Eh, I only have a few miles left to go, like a couple, literally a couple once I did that. But this girl was like right there too. So I have never spent that much time looking over my shoulder, but she was so close that I was like, is she racing me? Is she running with me? Am I going to lose her? I think that was nice is it pushed me. Honestly, it pushed me the whole time and mentally I was like, if she does pass you, that doesn't take away from your race. It does not take away from your goal. It didn't take away from your paces. It didn't take away from like the athlete that you're becoming in this race. It doesn't take away from any of that. All it does is put you from first place to second place, which is going to drive you crazy, but it's okay. So anyway, I saw that 5 mile marker coming up and she was still on me and I was like, I know she's going to pass me. And it was perfect though, because she just put exactly enough distance to make it a 10-second difference and to make it a really solid race. Like I think
Mhm.
we think a lot about racing races, and it's like a personal race against ourselves, and I've only ever experienced that. To race against others is a very different experience, and it's very cool, and I really love it. Kind of feels like when you turn up the treadmill and you're like, "Can I hold this? Can I hold this?" Just a little bit longer. That's what it felt like. Man,
Yeah.
so different.
Well, you mentioned that you were like, "Oh, I thought this was my first 10K," and then I came to find out, looking back at old data, that you had actually ran one postpartum. Was that after
Yes.
Charlotte or is it after
No.
Grayson?
It was after Grayson, so it was in
Yeah,
2020. So, last night was it last night? I was sending you
yeah,
all this data of,
yeah.
like, this was my last run with Grayson and all this stuff when I was pregnant, and so then I was, like, swiping, and I was like, "When was my first run postpartum?" And I thought that I had waited longer than I did. I thought I knew I ran before my 6-week checkup, but I thought it was closer to, like, that 5-week mark,
Mhm.
and so I saw that there was um like a 6.2-mile run in there, and I was like, "That's so weird." That's like so I went back to my pictures and I was like, "What were we doing that day?" And there's all these pictures, and I remember we did a virtual 10K, and it was
That's
like
so
all the
cool.
ladies in my neighborhood, and we ran this 3-mile loop twice.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, it was so cool, and they had like a finish line, like everybody was there from our neighborhood, but it was so cute because I remember Matt made me this sign and it was like, "Mom, you had me 4 weeks ago."
Cute. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. So, I did that one in 72 minutes, which is so crazy.
What like a full circle moment
I
too,
know.
like, almost around the date, like, I mean, he was born in March, so it was, like,
Mhm.
another month, but still, like, this time frame, like,
Yeah.
you're doing another 10K this
Yeah.
many like, he's
6
6 now
months?
almost?
Mhm.
Crazy.
I know,
Yeah.
super cool. So, so crazy. So, I yeah, I love thinking about that. Like, just probably what my mental state was like after having just had a baby and how special it would have to,
Yeah.
like, do a race like that, even though it was virtual, but, I mean, I was doing it with a lot of people, which is
Mhm.
cool. I mean, a lot. It was, like, the people from our neighborhood. Once I saw it, I was like I remember being like, "Oh, I just hope I can do it in, like, 75 min under 75 minutes." It's just so funny to think about, like, that I would have had that time goal, and then 6 years later, like, I never would have pictured that I would have been doing, local race around a bunch of people where, like, it's not COVID times anymore, we're not virtual, and doing it in like, going for under 40 minutes is crazy talk, like, that's so
Yeah.
nuts, and then getting 2nd place, like, I just would have never pictured that person doing that,
Yeah. I
so
think it's a great, like, expectation versus reality too, like, even though you ran sooner than you thought you did, you still were in a totally different ballpark than you are right now, and I think people that are watching what you're doing right now are like, "Oh, well, she's just fast, it's unrelatable," right? But, like, if they had seen your journey from the very beginning, it was very relatable, like, very, very relatable, and it wasn't like you came back and, like, hammered out a sub 40-minute 10K, like, that took a lot of patience and a lot of showing up and another baby in between that too,
Mhm.
that, like, you're here now because of this, like, long, consistent, like, showing up, over and
Mhm,
over and over again, and that wasn't always your reality, like,
mhm.
fresh postpartum, which I feel like we do see a lot of that, like, on social media, like, a lot of people just bouncing right back in, and I'm not gonna knock on because 'cause I'm praying to God that's me, but it really isn't the norm, like, it is more rare than it is normal to see that so soon.
It is. I think I like that 6-week mark, is what everybody talks about, and I think, like, having that parameter of at least giving moms permission that you don't have to jump back into
Mhm.
things so quickly is so nice, and, that there's nothing wrong with waiting until 6 weeks and seeing how you feel, and that every pregnancy also is going to be different. So, I think with both of my kids, I think so much of why I jumped back into things so quickly, though, was because the narrative of how I was feeling was coming from a lot of other people. Like, "She's doing
Um,
so great. She bounced back so quickly. She looks amazing." And, like, which is so funny because I look at pictures and I'm like, "'Kay, I wasn't, like, walking out with a six-pack." Like, I very clearly looked like I had just had a baby, and I by no means had, like, gained a ton of weight during pregnancy or anything like that. I just looked normal for having a baby, but the narrative that was shaped around me was like, "Oh, yeah, she'll be back running in no time. Oh, yeah, she's already out there, you know? I think she's jogging with the stroller right now," and I was like, "I think he's, like, 3 days old right now. I'm not doing that." But, you know, that pressure that it can come from yourself or from others, like but it's just made me so much more cautious of how I talk about people when
Mhm.
they're like, to them, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you look like you are, like, ready to run again," and it's like, am I putting that in their head? Because that's what happened to me. Like, and, you know, all these people were newer runners. I had already run a couple marathons at that time, and so, like, them starting running and my postpartum running, we were the same paces, and so that was a huge part of it, and so, you know, just getting that validation of like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're already back. I can't believe you're running already," and all this stuff, and I was like, "I know, I'm, like, superhuman. How crazy." When really, maybe should I have waited? Like, at least until the Depends were gone. Like, I always think about them, "Oh my god, was I just throwing on freaking Lululemons over some Depends?"
Just having a nice cushion booty for your Peloton rides.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that would make for a less of a sore butt.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, yeah, with
No
the
bike
bike seat.
saddle. Yeah.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. Well, do
Oh.
you feel like do you feel like you've had moments like that where you've had an expectation, maybe postpartum, especially because you have had so many pregnancies that you can actively compare all of them, you know? I mean, twin pregnancy, different. That one's different to compare, but do you feel like you've had moments where you can compare or you've expected your postpartum comeback to look different than it did?
Yeah, I think I mean, especially, like, with my twins and Hazel, my
Mhm.
last one, I didn't like, I it took me a while to really find my body again. It was not immediate, and in fact, like, with Hazel, I went backwards. Like, I only got bigger as I got further postpartum until I started, like, getting myself out of that mental funk of like, okay, I'm no longer feeling like I want to just survive motherhood, like I want to thrive, like, and so what am I going to do about that? But yeah, like with her, like I gained more weight postpartum and it was like I was on the trajectory of like regaining back that entire baby weight and then some postpartum and it was pretty brutal. It was hard. And I think a lot of times, like, that's not showcased, like, on social media, and I'm a little bummed that, like, I didn't have an account during that time because I wish people could see that version of me in 2022 who was literally surviving motherhood at that point and just feeling like they looked at themselves in the mirror and didn't, like, recognize who they were, and thank goodness, like, I have a husband that was very like, "You look great, you have curves in areas you never had before," and he loved every curve of my body, and I didn't, because I was not used to that. Because I feel like I for the most part, outside of my twin pregnancy, I still came back with a full-on, full-term looking belly, and that was very weird, but, like, I had 2 babies and 2 placentas and 2 of everything going on in there. And so coming back from that was hard too. Like, I remember looking in the mirror, I'm like, "My stomach is never going to be normal." And there was a point too where I had the extra skin around my belly button from that twin pregnancy. And so it is like, I think a lot of times, like, our bodies change so much during pregnancy, and it's so cool. Like, it is so crazy to go through all those pregnancies and see, like, how much your body changes and how much it can come back, but also it's very humbling. Like, to feel like you're an athlete and you're out there and you're putting out workouts and then you look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh." Or you watch a video back or you watch a strength training video back and it's like, "Oh, I'm massive." Like, and even though I'm sure everybody has their hot take on that, right? Like you can always be bigger to somebody else or you can always be smaller to somebody else. Um, but I think just the shift of like, the mindset of going through pregnancy and postpartum is so humbling, and the reality versus expectation of that, like, it does shift from pregnancy to pregnancy. Some pregnancies, you come back, like, I think after my second, I felt amazing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got this!" Like, had 2 kids and 14 months apart, like, I'm just meant to be an incubator. And, I mean, Gracie, for the most part, wasn't too bad, my 3rd pregnancy, but those last 2 were very, very humbling for me, and I'm so grateful that I had a humbling experience with that because I think it just gives you a lot of empathy towards people, that you didn't maybe have necessarily when you went through your easier ones. So yeah, like, the expectation versus reality, like, during pregnancy and postpartum are it's rough because it's a tug of war.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And I think the expectation of looking a certain way pregnant, it doesn't necessarily come from even within us. It comes from society. Like it comes from
Mhm.
everything around us. It comes from the social media that shows the perfect all the time, right? And yeah, the comparison is so easy on social media to look at somebody else and be like, they look so good. Like, how are they 30 something weeks along? Like, where is the baby? And I'm like 15 weeks behind them, But anyways, it is I think a lot of that pressure and that expectation does come from unrealistic, like, resources, I guess.
Mhm.
Because everybody's pregnancy is so different. Everybody holds pregnancy differently. Everybody's body responds to pregnancy differently, even within the same motherhood. Like the same mom could go through pregnancy multiple times, like you shared, and have completely polar opposite experiences. And I think that's why it's so refreshing to talk about reality versus expectation because it's not always going to be the reality that you're going to have an amazing pregnancy. And it's not always going to be the reality that you're going to have a bad pregnancy. Like you can have a really, really hard pregnancy and it could be preterm and all like high risk, all of the above. And then we've had people that have come on and said, but my last pregnancy was amazing. Like, so it can flip at any given point. And just like embracing the moment, the season that you are in is really truly the only way to get through it. Like, I will say, like, there's not one time that I regret taking a picture or a video of any of the seasons that I've looked back on and was like, I hate my body. Like, I do not like how my body looks. This does not feel like me. I feel like I'm me stuck in a body that's not me. And that's a really hard thing, but I look back at those pictures from, like, 2022, and I am so grateful I took pictures and I took videos, the messy of it all, the whole process of coming back, because I look back at that person now and I'm like, "I love her so much because she showed up for me." Like, I am here where I'm at right now because she was so vulnerable with herself that she put herself in a position to get me where I'm at now. She did the
Mhm.
footwork to get me where I'm at now. And I think sometimes it just takes us some time to fall in love with like that version of our old self and like appreciate what they did for us
Mhm.
now as our current self, but you'll never regret it. Like you will never ever ever regret like accepting the fact of where you're
Yeah.
at and like bringing
Yes.
it to where
I
you are now.
love that so much. It's so true because I think about that sometimes of okay, so since we're on the topic of bodies
Yeah.
okay, so we had talked about how, like, you went from, like, your fittest version of yourself,
Mhm.
fastest and fittest version, and you were like, "Hold on, I'm gonna put it all on pause really quick, I'm gonna grow a baby, and I'm gonna resume this after," and that can mentally be a hard thing, you know, just because you don't know what your body's going to look like postpartum. Like we've talked about, it
Yeah.
could be it's different every single time, and a lot of this a lot of, like, what we think it's supposed to look like happens because praise comes from, like, "Oh, she doesn't even look like she just had a baby," or, like, "You
Yes.
look so good," and nobody's like, "Oh my gosh, she must have grown such a great baby because look at all that extra skin on." Like, nobody was ever like, "Wow, you must be making so much milk because your boobies are so big." Not one person said that to me, not one. I had to tell everybody, I was like, "I'm making so much milk, that's why they're so big." And so which, like, leads me into I showed up to run with gigantic knockers day in and day out, pushing a stroller and extra skin. And I mean, I was so much heavier. I was so top heavy. Like running
Yeah.
was so hard. And like, I feel like I don't know how to explain that to people enough that postpartum running for me was so hard because I had big boobs before I had babies and then I
Yeah.
had babies. And then it was like, I was like, what do I do with them? I was chafing every day and I was running through these horrible wounds. I literally have a phone, an album on my phone called Boob Wounds, and they're just on my collarbones just getting, like, annihilated by
Yeah.
sports bras, and so a lot of times I think about now, like, I'm like, "You showed up for yourself every single day back then, and you were so out of whack with your body, and it was so hard." That Olivia would have never known how to run 400s on the track,
Yeah.
and if she would have gotten that workout, she would have done it with gigantic knockers. So you can do it now with itty bitty titties and you can just go get it done. And I know that sounds ridiculous,
It's
but
so
I
true
think about
though.
it all the time of like, I didn't, even though it was hard, it was like I figured out how to do it. And now I'm like, set up a lot more for success, like like, I'm not going out and chafing every single day, so I
Mhm.
can still show up, like, do it because I laid that same groundwork like you're talking about, like, that was all the footwork. She showed up, and it was hard it was way harder back then because, like, the baby phase, like, you're
Yeah.
also sleep deprived and all that stuff, and so I think it's so good that you had that experience with Hazel postpartum, and that was the time that you chose to show up for yourself, like, no matter what it looked like, because now you know going into it this time and with the resources you have, the coach that you have, and then also the mental space that you're able to protect, you are set up for success so much better than that time around, and look how far you came during that time, you know? So
Yeah.
even if it's hard, like, right now to like, it's hard to see your body changing, even if you're grateful for it. It is,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, even paces, it's so crazy, like, you're out there for those that are pregnant, this is very, very normal to, like, go out there and feel even somewhat like, if you're going into your pregnancy fit, you feel fit. Like, your body may feel differently from, like, walking and things like that, but internally, like, cardiovascularly, like, you do still feel fit, and then you go out there and you're running. Like, today's a great example, I was out there running. Mind you, I was in my neighborhood, and it's super hilly, so it's just, like, a constant, like, breather. Everywhere I go, I'm like, "I can't. Why is this so hard? My joints hurt, my ankle hurts." But I was out there today and I actually felt for the most part really good. And I looked down at my watch and I've been trying really hard the last like month to just not look at my watch. Don't look at it. Listen to your body, feel what it's feeling. Like just be intentional with those paces. And I was out there today and I swore I was running like 750 pace effort. I just felt so good. I looked down at my watch. I'm not kidding you, Olivia. I was running like 9:13 pace in my fast shoes. 4% gain with my curved bladed shoes
Oh
running
my
9:13 pace.
gosh.
And I literally laughed because I was like, "Wow, I feel so fit right now." And not that 9:13 is not fit, but when your 750 pace usually is your fit easy day, and you're looking down and you're seeing a whole different pace range, it's, like, humbling. It is such
Yeah,
a humbling because you feel like you're working so hard, but you're not going anywhere.
yeah.
And I love that I'm experiencing that because I know there are so many people out there right now who are getting into running for the first time. You don't even have to be pregnant. You don't have to be postpartum. You can just be a new runner to the sport, and that's how they feel. And I know
Yes.
that you can vouch for that because you've been
Yeah.
there. But that's literally how they feel. They are out there and yeah, it's not 9:13 pace. Maybe it's more like 14-minute pace. Maybe it's more 16-minute pace. Maybe they are run walking, but it's still the effort feels so incredibly hard. And I think that there's something like with going through that expectation versus reality, like it teaches you something. Like, it humbles you to your core. It teaches you a very, very good lesson that will take you into your next season of life that may the reality may be more positive. Like, it may not be as hard or as grinding and, like, feeling like you're working so much differently. And it may be on you may be on the up. You may be on the uphill finally going down and it feels great and it's like with ease. But it's like when because of that like uphill battle that you had to go through of the expectation of it being so hard or like so grueling, I feel like we go into those seasons of highs like with a lot more positive perspective because we've experienced the opposite. And so that's something I like am trying to lean into like with this pregnancy is like, okay, like you're out here and this sucks and it feels so painful, but think about all the other runners right now that are out there picking up running for the first time or trying to get their fitness back after X amount of time off or coming back from an injury and they're so frustrated because they're so far from where they used to be or a postpartum mom or a pregnant mom. Like there are so many people out there that are going through the same grind
Mhm.
and like how cool is it that I can sit in this moment of like relatability of like wow, I'm suffering, but so is somebody else. I guarantee somewhere else right now, you know?
It's so true. I mean, I think that's what separates the people that continue to run and the people that don't. And like when people are like, I hate running, it's like, well, most people do when it sucks because
Yeah.
that was like the thing that postpartum was so hard was I remembered it not sucking and it was just so hard to come back into and you're like, wait, I don't remember ever feeling this hard and it's making the decision to show up and try again or even just changing like the format like don't try to run for a whole mile like
Yeah.
try to run a quarter of it and see if it feels okay and that there are those moments that just feel so hard and most people at some point go through it and honestly I can even see how someone who maybe even ran in high school, had multiple children, and then comes back to running in their 30s, that those first runs can be really hard. Like, you might be seeing on Instagram their best version of themselves right now because they have been staying consistent. They've been doing it for a while. But what we probably didn't see is when they were coming back into it, that it could have been really, really hard. And I have to think about that quite often. It's like a lot of us have that very shared experience of like running wasn't always fun from the very first time we went out and tried it. Like, I don't think any of us were like, oh my god, most fun I've ever had in my whole entire
Yeah.
life. That's crazy. I'm gonna do that every day forever. Like, you might be seeing your paces change, but it's so funny, like, you are the fittest person that I know, and you're, like, the grittiest athlete, and so to hear you say that you thought you were running 7:50 pace just because you are the most in tune runner I know, like, and then to hear that it was a 9:13 is just so funny because, like, we all feel that sometimes where we're like, "Oh my
Mhm.
god, I'm going so fast right now," and then I've looked at my watch and I'm like, "Wow, not even close." Like, there's just days that are like that, but I love that it took
Yeah.
pregnancy for you to get there.
I know. I mean, because you probably experienced that, like, when if you're I mean, anything, maybe your body's going through, like, a low phase where it needs extra recovery and you're just feeling off that week, right? Like, we've had some talk about that, like, coming back from a marathon, like, expectation of that is like, "Okay, well, I just came off a marathon. I'm in PR shape." Like, that didn't change overnight after a week off of running, but then you come back and it feels like you're starting from ground zero
Yeah.
again. And it's
Yeah.
a sucky feeling, like, it really like, I think that's, like, the closest thing you can experience it to, like, somebody that's probably, like, in pregnancy or, like, coming back into the sport. It's a sucky feeling. You're like, "Wait, something's not adding up here. Like, why is this so hard? Why is my effort so high?" But, I mean, bodies fluctuate. They're supposed
Yes.
to. They're meant to fluctuate.
They are, and I think we don't see that so much. It's why I spend so many of my videos lately just talking, because it's like
Yes.
you can sum things up in a caption and it'd be like, I just felt a little bit off this week and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, really in the moment, I'm like, my kids were up at 10 last night. I did not eat a very good meal last night. I shouldn't have had, I had Taco Bell before my race. So, like, that's a great
So
example. Probably
crazy.
not a great idea. And like a conscious decision to see, like, at least I'd have a good excuse for why I effed it up.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I know where all the bathrooms are. But I think, I don't even remember what my point was. Oh, no, lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Um, what was I
Right.
talking about? Sorry, I was thinking about Taco Bell now.
Recording your voice over reels
Yes,
to, like, the
that we s
expectation or the reality.
exactly, like, I think that we see people, especially in pregnancy, they sum up their week by week, "This
Yeah,
is how it felt. I
and
think I'm
it's
gonna
spun
take"
positively, always,
always, yeah,
for the most part.
it's like, can you is it so frowned upon? Are people scared that if they say something negative about pregnancy, it's like, "Well, it was your choice. You chose this. You know the alternative. You wanted a family." And it's like, is that why it's always spun positively? Because there are so many parts of pregnancy. I had a wonderful pregnancy, and I still talk about how I couldn't really run because of I had such bad round ligament pain. Like,
Yeah.
no amount of like hoisting my belly up was going to help it. I breathed, and it was just like it was so tight. I remember making an appointment for it, and they were like, "It's completely normal. It's just round
Yeah.
ligament pain." And I was like, "No, I'm telling you, this is so severe."
Aw.
But it's just like it's just natural. But like I know now, if I had that, if I was pregnant, I would post about that. I would be so fearful of like any negative feedback. Like, well, you chose to get pregnant. You've done this before. You know what to expect. You know not to get pregnant if you don't want round ligament pain.
Yeah.
And because like, the internet can be cruel, and
Mhm.
so is that, like, why we see so much? And so then are people's expectations of pregnancy that you will be able to run throughout the whole thing? Like, I'm so curious from someone who, is maybe expecting their first or second child, what has shaped their idea of running, because I know for me, I didn't follow a lot of running pages at the time when I was pregnant, and so like, I hope to run, but I didn't really, like, I didn't put a ton of pressure on myself. It was more like if I was going to enjoy it, then I was gonna do it. And also, I was feeling really burnt out during, like, right before I got pregnant with Charlotte, so I was, like, really looking forward to having a good excuse not to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you talk about that though, because, like, that's okay to feel that way. Like, I think there's also some guilt of, like, "Oh, well, like, everybody else is working out like crazy." Like, they're still maintaining majority of their schedule for the most part, and so if I back off, like, does that make me, like, lazy?
Yeah.
Does that make me less ambitious? And it's like, no, like, you're leaning into a season, and that's okay. Like, it's probably, if anything, it's probably gonna bring you back even faster because you're gonna be hungry more
Mhm.
for, like, that comeback?
Yeah.
Instead of, like, burnt out because you tried to grow a baby and train like a mother ever.
Exactly. I remember, like, I had Grayson, and I stopped nursing him at, like, 15 months old, and then, um, I was just, like, in overdrive to, like, get fit and run a lot, and I wanted to run fast so badly, like, I just couldn't it was like I just couldn't figure out how to run without stopping. Like, it was just not clicking for me, and so much of it was because I, like, was just getting my body back after nursing and stuff like that, like, because breastfeeding just took it out of me, and
Yeah.
so, like, that was a hard year of just, like, learning my body, and, I did run a half marathon during that time, but then once I stopped nursing Grayson, I went and I ran a half marathon, and it was my slowest time, and like, up to date, and because 'cause I'd run, like, I don't know, 7 half marathons at that point already, and it's so funny because looking back now, I'm like, "Why were you mad about that time? That's a great time." And I remember getting, like, 1 hour's sleep, but it, like, launched me into this, like, overdrive of, like, work harder, work harder, work harder, you gotta lift more weights and all this stuff, and I was getting so fit, but it wasn't, like, benefiting me at all, and so I just needed, like, I was like, "If when I get pregnant, I'm gonna back off completely," and I was, like, so excited about that, and then once once I got pregnant, I was out of my first trimester. I was, like, ready to run again because I was like, "Now I can take a deep breath because there's no pressure anymore."
Yeah. I came across the post, I went to go pull her up because I was like, "Oh, I can't remember what she said." It was the redheaded runner. I don't know if any of our audience
Yeah.
follows her, but she just posted about that today. She said, "My thoughts on postpartum round 2, my experience." And it was a complete polar opposite experience for her going into her second. She actually, dealt with postpartum depression, and she said that it was actually really hard for her to go and admit that she needed help, and thankfully, she did, and she did get help, and she did talk to doctor and, family and things like that, and is on a little bit better of the side, but her comeback, I mean, wasn't how she ideally had pictured it, and this is somebody that was honestly, for the most part, was pretty consistent movement of some sort throughout her whole pregnancy, and I really appreciated her sharing that because I think there's a lot of moms, whether listening to this episode or not, like, that are they experience this. They experience maybe something very positive for their first, and then their second, not necessarily negative, but just a complete different experience than they had ever experienced before. And I think there's a lot of uncertainties going into your first pregnancy and your second pregnancy. Like, now you're pregnant with a child. You're trying to keep a child alive, you're trying to keep yourself alive, and you're trying to grow a baby. And that's a lot of expectation and pressure there too. And so the reality sometimes can look different than it did for your first round, and the comparison of trying to be this version of you as a mom of just baby inside of you, and now a mom with a baby out of you and inside of you, it's kind of unrealistic. Like, your season should look different. You should be adjusting differently. Things aren't going to look the same because your reality isn't the same. And I think as moms, we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to, like, continue to create this, like, positive, like, experience that we had before, and if we got through a positive before in the past, like, why are we not right now? Or why is the reality right now so much harder than it was then? We're the same person. But at the end of the day, like, your true, like, your environment does change too, which will change your reality. And that's okay, whether it's your body that's your environment or whether it's your actual environment around you, your household, your jobs, your husband's work schedule, your kids' schedule, like, that's going to shift so much for you and your reality as well. And, like, I love looking back when you were sending me all your data. I think it was with the Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
With the biking, and you're like,
Yes.
"I could have done the Tour de France." Because you did bike so much, and I loved seeing that because it was like, clearly you weren't probably running nearly as much as you were biking, but you, like, shifted your reality. You were like, "Okay, I can't do this, so then I'm gonna fill it with this."
Mhm.
Because movement is still my jam. Like, I
Yeah.
still love to move my body. It gives me the mental, capacity to be me and be a good wife and a good mom and continue on life as positive as I can. And you shifted the reality of your moment and, like, created the best that you could. And I think that was, like, it was so humbling for me to see that because, like, I think we all want something. We will all want something to look a certain way, and then, like, when it doesn't, we have 2 options in that moment: to quit and, like, complain and, like, throw in the towel and say we're done and, like, view the world and with, like, such a negative lens, or we have an opportunity to pivot, adjust, and, like, make the most of what we can. And I
Mhm.
think, like, that is, like, I've been on both sides with Hazel's return postpartum. I was in that despair. I was like a woe is me. I'm like, why did I have to have 6 kids 6 years in a row? Why is that my narrative? And then it was like this moment of reality of, like, well, that's, you love this. You love the idea of this. You love this. So then what do you need to change internally to catch up to that? Like, how can you make the reality of where you're at right now more of a positive experience for you and your children? And
Mhm.
it's a rude awakening. Like,
It is. Yeah. I think that's such a good point of, like, I love this and I love them. How do I like, how can I match their joy? And, because kids inherently are happy and you want to be happy with them. And it's so hard because all of a sudden you've been stripped of all these previous layers of who you were. And I think so much of it though is environment. Like, I think
Mhm.
about her the person you just talked about, she talks about like, if it's her 2nd pregnancy, like, is there something that's different from
Yeah.
your first time around? Or is it the fact that like, I really think about often of, like, your support system. What does that look
Yes.
like? Is your support system the same? Is it different? Is it harder because you have another baby? Is that why it looks different? And, like, it's I think it's so easy to like, try to blame a mom or try to focus on, like, well, what's going on with her? Like, does she just not enjoy this as much? And it's like, well, is it like, what is her support system like? Moms inherently cannot help but do the best for themselves and their babies. Like, they're always
Mhm.
gonna put their kids first, and so it with that, like, are there consequences to doing that? Like, that your own happiness is sacrificed, and I think that's what's so hard to realize is that you don't have to sacrifice your own happiness in order to have happy kids, and I think we realize that every single day and that, like, your lives are supposed to blend together and you evolve together. It's just a newer life, and, I think about that a lot, like, how we like, with Charlotte's pregnancy and stuff, a lot of it was that I had Grayson, so, like,
Yeah.
running wasn't super ideal because it was hard for me to stop running and then get back on the treadmill. It was
Yeah.
so hard, but the
It
bike it
hurts.
hurts because, like,
Yes.
once you're done, all of a sudden, it's like your blood flow just, like, whoop, just it seems like it just goes like, gravity takes it south, and you're like, "Oh, I'm just really I feel heavy now." And so I remember going to the bike just shifting to the bike for, like, a longer workout because even if I had to pause it or stop it, like, I could get off the bike, and then it was easy to get back on. Like, it wasn't so impactful. And those were just little shifts that I was able to make, and I think that's the thing in motherhood that we have to realize, like, what are the things that are within our control that I can change right now to make this a better experience for all of us, and then where do I need to ask for help? Like, whatever that help might look like. And because ultimately, I think a lot of people are constantly asking us, like, "What can I do for you? What can I do for you?" And we're just too afraid to say, like, "I'd love if you came and sit with me," like, I don't need you to hold the baby. I actually wanna hold my own baby, but will you just come hang out with me? Or if you really wanna help, you can help me unload the dishwasher or things like that. Like, I never had the guts to say most of that
Yeah.
until I had Charlotte. Like, I finally, one time I was like, "I actually just wanna hang out with her, but if you wanna hang out with me, I'd love that." Like, I
Yeah.
didn't want other people to necessarily always be holding her, and but I wanted company. It wasn't that. And I think that's like it's hard to say your actual needs during that time. And I think it's hard to admit that you want help. And I think
Mhm.
when you have when you're sliding into the baby blues and then you're sliding into postpartum depression, I think it can be really hard to reconcile the fact that you thought it was gonna look different because 'cause you're so excited the baby's gonna be here, you're so excited, like, postpartum has nothing on me, and then bam, life is so different, your support system, it's not this, like, big old village, like, and I think that that village sometimes seems like it's going to be there, and then the baby's, like, all of a sudden, 4 months old, and, like, where is all that help? Like, that's when I need the help, or, like, for me, I was, like, really when Charlotte became, like, a year old, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, you guys bought all these onesies for her that I couldn't put on her because it's summertime and she's naked and I put her in the pool all the time. I
Yeah.
I need shit now." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
I'll
it
take those diapers now, please.
yeah,
Not the newborn ones.
yeah.
I need
I'm
size
like, "She's
3.
a size 3." I'm like,
Yes.
"I got so many size 1s, I need size 3s,"
Mhm.
But that's the truth is, like, just because somebody isn't in the newborn phase anymore necessarily doesn't mean that the help stops. Like, I think a lot of different seasons of motherhood are like, "Hey, where are the things that I can change that are within my control to, like, add an ounce of, like, fluidity to our day and make us a little bit happier?" Like, is it is it that I need to wake up before the kids? Like, if that's something that's in somebody's option, like, not for me, but, like, so that you have some moments of peace. Is it that you put the kids to bed and then you shower? Or whatever that looks like, those small changes that you can make that are within your control, and then if those aren't helping, it's like, well, where can you ask for help from someone else? 'Cause, I think just, like, admitting that you need help is really hard sometimes, and I see some people, though, that have no problem with it, and I love that. Yeah, you know?
Yeah. No, I think you touched, like, on such a good one because the reality or expectation of support is a huge one. Like, even within families, like, I feel like maybe you expected, like, grandparents to step in a little bit more, especially with your first kid. You think, "Oh, they're gonna be excited," and then when it's not reciprocated, it's almost like, wow, like this is really hard because community and support in motherhood is literally what sometimes makes or breaks a mom. Like
Mhm,
I really do feel that way. Like I know like when we moved here, we didn't know anybody. Like I totally thinking back now, I think we lost in a lot of ways. We never really had like the craziest community where we used to live, but like at least I knew I could go to a park and meet up with a sister-in-law or a friend, right? Whereas when you're in a new environment and a new, totally different setting, your support system would look a lot different. And that could make or break you reality of like, why is this postpartum so much harder? And I think sometimes that's where we, like, think, like, "Oh, is it the extra kid or is
mhm,
it me?" Like, but like you said, it's really your external factor of, like, that shifted, that
mhm.
changed. You don't have like, accessibility to the friends you used to, or you don't have the accessibility of conversation with an adult,
It's
which just
huge.
makes it really lonely, like
Yeah, it does. That community factor can be everything. I mean, even when I moved last year to Cedar, like, that was a huge
Yeah.
thing that I was lacking, like, for us here, I think park culture is a huge thing, like, you
Mhm.
can go to a park and there's a solid chance you will meet another mom, at least for the day, like, we don't have to be lifelong friends, but we
Yeah.
could, like, "How old's your baby?" "Oh, it's so nice. Did you have them here at the hospital?" That kinda stuff, small talk, and it's sometimes just enough,
Mhm.
but also just, like, that longing for, like, actual real friendships and connection, and, a lot of people, I think they go into having that already when you have babies, but when you do something like a big move, like, you guys, that's a huge move to do, and I think that it may not have been seen that way because so many people make the move from Northern Utah
Yeah.
Southern Utah. That's a super common move. But when you think about that you moved here with no family,
Mhm.
that's massive because I hear it all the time like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah is with her auntie today," and I'm like, "What?"
Yes.
Like,
I
Um and, like, just not having that is that's why I'm always so curious when we do have our guests on, like, what does your support system look like? Like,
Yeah.
were you able to use, a mother-in-law for, babysitting and stuff? Because ultimately that can change the trajectory of, like, how much you actually enjoy running, because if they're just with grandma, there's probably not a huge guilt factor of leaving your kids. But if you're, trying to squeeze in a run and you're bringing them to some gym daycare that you don't really like, there's a guilt factor with it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess that's like, I guess the expectation and the reality of, there's so many different parts. And I think we always have an idea of what the next phase is going to look like. And it's like we are going to constantly be humbled with what it actually ends up being because we don't have a ton of control over it at the end of the day. Like, our kids are who they are. We can't
Yeah.
force them into being good sleepers. We can't force them
Yeah.
into being good nappers. Their negotiation skills suck.
It's so
I'm a
true.
pushover. So, yeah.
Bribing at his best.
It's so
It's
true.
it's so true though, because like, we're going through this with one of our kids, our boy, he's like his sleep has been brutal lately, and I'm like, "We don't even have a newborn in the house," and it's like we have a newborn in the house because it's like constant babysitting this kid to get back in his bed and that he can sleep in his room and it'll be okay. Like the
Mhm.
boogeyman's not gonna get you. And it's crazy. Like they do, every kid goes through a different shift of a season and that changes everything.
Mhm.
Like everything that you thought you knew in motherhood because you're an experienced mother, you have
Yeah.
multiple kids, and it's like, no, you're not because that kid is different than your other kid. And you can't parent
Exactly.
them the same.
It's so true. And I think it's such a good way to learn that you cannot judge other parents. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
you just simply cannot. I will be the first to admit, I judged my friend so hard when she told me that she co-slept with her kid. I was like, "That's so weird when you and your husband hang out, that's
Yeah.
crazy, you guys are wild, how would you ever make a second kid?" You know? And, well, lo and behold, she's on number 5 now, and I co-sleep with my kids like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I literally sometimes I have gone into Charlotte's room and been like, "Oh, she was crying for me," and Matt's like, "No, she wasn't." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna bring her in here anyway because I miss her." But I was like, I would never co-sleep, never, 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 and yeah, that was the first thing to go out the window when it could, you know? I mean, safety-wise, obviously, we were
Yeah.
pretty like, newborn, totally different, you know, actually, even with Charlotte, I bought, like, a coat like, the whatever
Yeah.
little Moses basket is, I had that right in the middle, like, she's always
Yes.
been a co-sleeper because she was a Velcro baby from the start,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Wow, I always said I would never, never, never do this," and, you know, you just every day with parenting, it's like you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
You're gonna figure it
And
out.
making sure your expectations for yourself is your expectations, right?
Mhm,
Like, not your friends or your parents, like, your
mhm,
parents' expectations for you as a mom, like, I think that's also another thing is, like, we often are, like, trying to, like, please other people and please
mhm.
what society says that we should look like with our expectations in parenting, and that's gonna look different for
Yes.
every family dynamic, and every shifting season for that family, that expectation is going to shift, and so making sure that if you are setting expectations, that they're not expectations that you're getting because you're watching somebody else do it a certain way or because somebody else says that you should do it a certain way, which I know you got a lot of those expectations given to you, like you talked
Mhm,
about earlier, of like coming back and having your postpartum and what it should look like. And oh, you look so fit and you look so strong. So you should be, right?
mhm.
And just making sure that the expectations that we set for ourselves is realistic for our reality so that it's even plausible for our life, because I think I often do that too, where, I get eager and I look at somebody else's reality and I set that as my expectation for myself and think, well, if they came back 4 months postpartum and ran that killer ass PR in that marathon, then you better believe that I'm gonna do that. But it's like, like, we could have the same amount of kids, but we can still have a totally different life.
Mhm.
And our help can look totally different, and our husband's schedules and our work schedules and whatever it may be, our kids' schedules may look totally different, which sets us up for a different reality. And so at the end of the day, like, I think it's just important that, like, we set realistic expectations too to
I
even make
love
it, like, successful, right?
Yeah, and that's what's I think it's just really hard to have realistic expectations. I think we especially because we talk so much about having big goals and that it's okay to
Mhm.
have, like, big audacious goals and dreams, and that's the one thing that will constantly propel us into our future successfully, and then to get humbled by something that we kind of did to ourselves, I think it
Yeah.
stings so deeply, and, it doesn't affect anybody else, like, that's the thing, like, say you have a goal for your December marathon, and say you don't get it, like,
Mhm.
it doesn't even affect you in the like, you could be a minute off, and
Yeah.
it's it's going to affect your 2027, like, so detrimentally, it's like it could have been anything,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like, there will be a disappointment, of course, with it that would be set by yourself,
Yeah.
and it doesn't affect me, you know? It doesn't affect your family. It doesn't even affect your goal marathon, like your ultimate 2027 goal marathon. And that's what's so funny about these expectations that we put on ourselves. Like it doesn't affect anybody other than ourselves. So having them be as realistic as possible is the most important thing to focus on, but it's also really hard because I think the original thing that stemmed this conversation was stroller running.
Yes.
That's what it was stroller running, and, like, I remember thinking I was gonna be, like, this ultimately cool
Yeah.
there, and then I
I
put
mean, she still is.
Um, like, in the later years of it, it's
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
with Charlotte, it got better. I will say with Grayson, oh my gosh, I was the stroller walking queen. Oh
I
my
love
gosh,
that.
boy.
Yeah.
I would go out, I'd get my run done or I'd do a walk run with him, and then he and we would walk and we'd walk and we'd walk. But the second I put that little infant car seat and locked it into that stroller, and it was like an extra however many pounds, and
Yeah.
even as a newborn, it pushing it, and then the second I hit a headwind, I was like, "I hate this. I hate it. I hate it." I literally never stopped talking about stroller running when I was pregnant, and then it happened, and I was like, "I hate this. I will never do this again. If anybody ever suggests this to me, I will kill him." And, yeah, I was so mad, and so it was just such a grind to go out and do, and I thought it was gonna be the most magical experience. And turns out it just wasn't until eventually it became easier. But running wasn't easy for me at the time, so
Yeah. And
yeah.
then throwing a stroller on top of that when running's not easy for you just soloed, like,
Oh my
that's
god.
brutal.
Yeah. It was, like, I know exactly where I was when I stopped this, like, run, like, where I was breathing so heavily. I'm sure my
Yeah.
face was just beet red, and I remember I was like, "I just don't like this." It was so disappointing, but, like, my husband had all this time off of work at the time. I didn't have to be doing it. I was able to leave the baby, and I could go out and do it by myself, and then I just if I like, I wanted that bonding time with him.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted, and then I would just go for
Did
walks
you
with him, it was fine.
did you feel any expectation to have to be with him? Like, did you feel did you
Yes.
feel any pressure of that? Like, I'm so
Yeah.
curious because if your husband was home, like, I'm curious, like, if there was some internal, like, mom guilt, like, "Oh, well, I just had this baby, and I do love this baby, and I wanna spend this time with this baby," but also recognizing, acknowledging, like, we're also allowed to, like, have a little sliver of time to ourselves too, if that's what you want, right?
That was not how I it was I had to spend I had to be over everybody's shoulder when his diaper was changed. Like, if you even thought about making a bottle for him, like, you better have me supervise it. Like,
Yeah.
I was nuts because I had stopped working. That was my biggest thing is, if I'm not gonna work, I better be the best mom on this planet because I worked so much and I worked so hard and I loved being viewed as this like I was like I was smart. I loved being
Mhm.
viewed as smart. And then I became a stay-at-home mom and I didn't want
Yeah.
people's perception of me to change. And so I still needed to be the best at something.
Yeah.
And I had to and then people when I was really influenced by people just being like, "Oh, she's the best mom." I was like, "Well, now I have to be the best mom all the time."
Mhm.
Because, I wasn't a paramedic anymore. Having that identity stripped from me was like I had no idea that it was gonna feel like that, and I was every day applying to, like, nursing programs, like, as if I was gonna hop into one right away, and so that's a huge part of it, so I felt I just like, I ended up treadmill running so much so that he could be right there, right by me, and I would do it during his nap time, and finally, I was like, "Hey, can you get him from if he's crying?" But I will tell you, it shaped how we parent now, and it's still that I
Wow.
just do everything, and so, it's just crazy 'cause I never gave any other responsibility to anybody else, and, and then you just don't really I didn't trust anybody also just not to, like, drop him, so that's
Yeah.
part of it, but yeah, and then did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, I think I still do. Honestly, like, we were just talking before we got on the podcast, and I was just like, "Why can't this be different, you know? And it's crazy because when you do set this expectation or this like yeah, this expectation of like this is who I am. I am the mom. I am the main source that they come to. I'm that default parent. Like I am the parent that they are going to get everything from because that's just how it is. I am a stay-at-home mom too. And I feel like a lot of the identity shift of when you do like you're not in the workforce anymore and you are home, like that becomes your new work. That becomes your new like identity, like self identity. So you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to be here 24/7, I got to do the best damn job I can because all my energy is now shifted to just this. But like it's the same thing when you're at work. Like, are you 110% performance every single day you're at work? Like, you're gonna have bad days. Like, so why is it like when we're at home as stay-at-home moms, like where do we lose that? Like that we're gonna have days that we lose our shit. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
have days where we're not the perfect mom. We're gonna have days where we're laying in our bed and we're like, wow, I like why did I say that to my child? Like, why couldn't I have been more patient in that moment of response, you know, or why couldn't I have approached it this differently this way? But yeah, I definitely do feel like the expectation of just feeling like you have to show up 24/7 with the best version of you is so real in stay-at-home mom life. Because you don't have something else to like source your energy into. And so you feel like that's your role, and that doesn't stop. Like, being a stay-at-home mom does not stop. You go 24/7.
Mhm. It's true. Like the expectation of just being this perfect parent and that you have to have your kids entertained and educated at all hours of the day when that's never how it was, even for stay-at-home moms before. Like people were like when I was growing up, like after school, we just played outside until we had
Till
activities.
nighttime.
Yeah, until it got dark, and that's when you came inside.
It's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, um, we're like, yeah, just end.
Honestly, this is how, like, most of our runs are.
Yeah.
We'll talk for, like, 2.5 hours over the same topic over and over and over again from every angle possible, and then we'll be like, "Okay." And then we're like, "Oh, bye," on the phone. That was a
Yeah,
really awkward goodbye. We didn't even say
we
bye.
do that all the
We just
time,
got in the
like
car and left.
yeah. Yesterday after my race, I didn't even say bye to you, and then I, like,
Yeah,
texted her, we also spent all day together, and then
yeah.
later at, like, 9 p.m., I was like, "Hey, I didn't say thank you for watching my kids," and it was just so funny, like, I didn't even say bye to you when you left the race. I was she just disappeared into thin air, and then, like, we after leaving the pool too, I was like, okay, bye. Thanks for meeting me?" I don't
Yeah.
know.
See you tomorrow. Also Monday on President's Day. 'Cause I'm probably
Oh
solo
my
then too.
gosh. We're like, "Well, we've talked this to death."
Yeah.
The end.
The end. I hope it was helpful though. Like I think like there was a lot of good points brought up. I mean, I didn't even think about the community one, but that's a big factor. So there's so much like I think like expectation versus reality. Like there's just so much pressure and I think sometimes it doesn't even come from ourselves for the
Mhm.
expectations and just reminding those that are listening like set the expectations that are real for your
Yes.
reality. Like if your reality is stemming so different and drastic from your expectations, then your expectations were probably just unrealistic to begin with. Like, let's be honest. Or maybe you put too much pressure into making it so perfect and I don't know, that it was never even plausible anyways. Like, I don't know. I think motherhood just will always bring unknowns. And I think that's even like why, like with my postpartum, I get that question all the time. People ask all the time. They're like, what is your postpartum going to look like? I'm like, I wish I can rub a magic mirror and say, what is my postpartum going to look like and tell you exactly how it's going to go. But I am not foolish to know that I've had so many postpartum comebacks, and they're all so different. And every time I think I have it in the bag, I don't. And so I just like learned to just stop counting my ducks before they're in a row. Like until those ducks are right there and I see them stacking, I'm not counting them. And yeah, I think my expectation is very low for this postpartum. I'll be honest. Like I really don't know what it's gonna look like. And sometimes I thrive better when I just allow that reality to be formed into whatever it decides to be formed into. Like, if I think about any positive experience I've had with a build for a race, it was the ones where my expectations were so low. And I
Yes.
don't mean that in the fact of like I was not motivated and I wasn't showing up and I wasn't disciplined, because that's different, right? Like, I think people are afraid to let go of high expectations because they're afraid that they're not going to maximize their best potential in life in general, right? In and outside of running. And that's not true. Like, you can have low expectations, but a high drive. And I don't want that to be like misconfused. Like, I don't want those to be confused. Like, I don't want people to think that, like, by me saying have a low expectation for your postpartum return, that means be a sloth and like not want to train or like not be hungry for PRs. Like I absolutely want a PR at the end of this year. And it's there and I feel it and I want it so bad. But my expectation is not going to be set in stone as I'm coming back to try to paint this reality that I don't even know if it's even a reality because I don't know what my postpartum is going to be like. So,
Yeah. I think that's like, you're never gonna be able to outrun where you currently are at,
mhm.
and your body is gonna prove that to you. So, like, why try to put something out there that you're gonna feel like you have to rush towards, or you can just let it happen naturally? I mean, I think so much when we're looking at our children, like, when they're babies, and babies are supposed to hit milestone after milestone after milestone, and that's what you're constantly looking for, but you
Yeah.
can never rush a milestone. Like, you're never gonna teach your baby to crawl. A baby's gonna crawl when they crawl. Like, you cannot rush that, and you can't rush when they're gonna walk, and then the big one, like, for talking even, like, we dealt with that with Grayson.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, when is he gonna talk? When is he gonna talk?" And he didn't wanna talk. He just, like, he talked. He made a lot of noises, lots of noises, and, like, there was nothing we could really like, we put him in speech therapy, but, like, he didn't it just didn't absorb, and the truth
Mhm.
is that that part of his brain, it just hadn't connected yet, and that was totally fine. We always knew there was nothing wrong with him. It was just it was gonna go when it was gonna go, and the truth is like we can like foresee things happening and we can put ideas out there and be excited about it. Like, I can't wait till they're crawling. I can't wait till they're talking. And then when it doesn't happen, you can't rush it. You just got to be more patient. And like, we don't force our children into that. So, like, why would we do that to ourselves?
Mhm.
And the same thing happens with our body. Like, you're not going to rush towards the end of pregnancy faster. There's nothing you can do. Like, there,
So
other
true.
than get an induction whenever they allow you to. Other than that, you cannot rush into the end of it, and that's what's gonna happen with postpartum as well, because postpartum just means that your body is healing, and it's gonna do it on its own
Mhm.
time, and, I mean, like, it's okay to have your expectation, like, wherever you want it to be. You can, like, expect a lot from yourself, though, too, because you went into this pregnancy being very fit. And so if you allowed yourself to feel that way, that would be totally fine. But if there's a mom out there that's listening and she's in a pregnancy and you haven't run at all, like
Yeah.
like, it's okay to just rebuild. There's also something really beautiful about that.
Oh.
It honestly might make the journey so much easier because I tried to pick up where I left off, and it was a huge mistake. I was just constantly let down.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I didn't even have my big old knockers to pick me back up.
I'm never gonna not look at them that way. Knockers.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh, it's so funny so I was, like, reminiscing on that 10K, and I was just so impressed that I was able to go out there. Funny, it's just like the most perfect little full circle moment with like, Grayson's about to turn 6 and I'm like, wow, 6 years later, like, see what a great expectation versus reality type of thing. Like
Yes.
I could have never expected that this is where my running would have gone. And like the reality of it was that just sticking through the harder seasons has led me into this where it's so much more enjoyable now. So there's so many positives with it too about keeping expectations at bay.
Yeah. And it makes your story way more relatable.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's true. I know. I wish there was a better way to portray that. I think
yeah.
that I struggle with a lot is like it's just not always like it's surprising for me to see these paces when people are like, "You're so speedy." I'm like, I don't know how, but I'm like very surprised by it too. Every time I look at my watch, I'm like very surprised by it. So yeah, I go into most workouts thinking I'm still like in a completely different range. And so
Yeah.
I don't know when it'll click for me, but yeah. But races humble me quite a bit. So,
Mhm.
because I can put out some decent workouts and then races will humble me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, this is where I'm at. So, I'm glad that I'm like exposing myself to that shorter distance a little bit more. And like, I think that half marathon will be a good like benchmark to be like, okay, this is the truth of where you're at right now. So,
Yeah.
anyways, all right.
Bye. Just kidding.
But really, like, yeah.
I'm actually
Um,
really surprised my husband's not back yet. I'm like,
I
wow, what
was
are
gonna say,
we doing?
I know. I I was gonna say you haven't been interrupted
He
at all.
he
I'm
wants my, extra large lingerie tonight. That's probably what it is. He's making up something because 'cause I'm like, it's, like, been 2 hours.
I know it's been 2 hours. Oh my gosh, yeah. He's like, "You know what? She still has that extra lingerie. Let's get some use out of it." Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna bring her a pasta dinner.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, if he is bringing you food, your food better not be cold by now.
Oh, probably is. He probably didn't even order me food.
He'll probably go get you
He's
something,
like,
right?
"You'll go eat it in the you'll go eat something from the fridge." I'm like, "I don't want anything from the fridge.
Yeah,
You're not cooking. What makes you think I wanna cook?"
exactly. Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
Tale as old as time. If you're
Yeah.
not cooking, what makes you think I wanna cook?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be the name of my cookbook if I ever had one. Of my memoir.
Your memoir. You should. You should have that on
You're not
your
cooking, I'm
yeah.
not cooking.
Yeah.
No, that's so funny. My husband is probably like, "Oh my gosh, she's just having a very long phone call with Shanna in there. She's just voice noting again." That has been so
Listen,
long.
you deserve that time alone. You were with solo with the kids all week, I
Yeah,
swear.
I know. Yeah, it
What a
was
good
all
time.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's so funny because it's like it's so nice, but then also, like, obviously for overtime and
Yeah.
because I'm solo, to
Yeah.
be honest.
It's
Like,
nice for me on Saturdays when it works out for me because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, yay, I have a friend that doesn't have a husband either
that
today."
is yeah, that's honestly how I feel. It's funny, like, the Saturday one is so bittersweet because
It
I
is.
can't long run, but
I
I can't hang
know.
out, which is, like the trade-off of that is worth it. Like, I think I would rather run, 20 miles on a treadmill, but have someone to hang
Oh,
out with all day. Like, I
yeah.
think that's my trade-off, and that's saying a lot,
That's
so
been a lot.
yeah.
Thanks. Thanks. I feel so honored that you'd rather lose your miles outside just to hang out with somebody like me. You're like, "I wasn't talking about you."
I mean, I just said
You're
someone,
my you're my default. You're like the friend that I call up as a backup.
I was being very nonspecific. I said I want
Yeah,
someone to hang out with. Okay. I told you your personality was just okay the other day.
I know. Oh my gosh. You guys, this is like the brunt of, like, our friendship. It's like, give a compliment, but not too much to boost their ego.
Right? I
Gotta
don't want
reel
you
it
to
in.
think that I actually like you. I just want you to know that I tolerate you.
I tolerate you.
The other d oh my gosh, we were at the, like, rec center pool, and I was just thinking about how Like, we are just the loudest people
Oh,
ever, and, like, we are, like, we are physically loud as well. Sorry, that's when we when we
that's
talk,
not a good word.
it's so weird. It
Stop.
sounds so weird. When we talk, we, like, talk with our hands, and then we laugh forever. Yeah, and then we, like, can't talk, and we're just, like, shaking our hands, and I was like, "We must look like we're just, like, miming things to each other at this point." And I was like, "We look insane when we're hanging out."
I feel
And
like we should, like, learn sign with how much we talk with our hands. We
oh
probably
my gosh,
communicate better with our hands.
we probably would. People would probably prefer that. Or then it would just be us being like
Yeah.
yeah, that would probably be good, just swearing at each other nonstop. Oh my gosh, our kids all of a sudden go to school and they're like signing swear words at each other. Oh my god,
That would be
so
awful.
funny. That
Oh, that's funny.
oh my
I
goodness.
think I'm just hangry now at this point.
I know, I was
Slap
thinking
happy.
about that. Yeah, I know. Why don't you go get some food? Actually, for a pregnant person, it's been a long time to not
Has it?
consume
Has
food.
it?
Yes, because even as a non-pregnant person, I'm like, it's been a long time.
That's I was upstairs vacuuming and I was like, "It's 1:33." That's why I was late. I was like,
Oh, that's
"Shoot."
so
I was
funny.
getting so into I was like, "Freaking kids sucking up socks in the vacuum that we just got," and I'm not
Oh
able
my
to dig
gosh.
that out, and then now I'm, like, getting carried away vacuuming every sliver of the corner of
I
the
get
house
that. Because sometimes when I lose my train of thought when we are recording, it's because I'm
'cause
just
you're hungry.
hungry.
There was one time for our audience listening when we left a long run. Was it like it was like when we were barely starting a long run together.
Oh, yes.
And Olivia was so hungry. This was the awkward, like, goodbye. We didn't even say bye. We just looked at each other and we got in our cars and we're like, "Okay." And then we left. And then
Yeah.
she texted me after she got home and she's like, "I just devoured food." And she's like, I'm alive now, but I realized how awkward that was." And that was the start of our
That
friendship.
was the start. That was the start. Yep. Yep. We have been we our friend anniversary was 5 days ago. I didn't make a post about it this year, but yeah,
Sad.
I remember that. I remember we were running, like, way too fast, like, absolutely
Yeah,
way too fast for what we were supposed to
for
be
both
doing.
of us.
Yeah, like, for both of us, not just me trying to
Yes.
tag along with her, like,
No.
we were definitely, like, just talking, 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 and it was, like, 16 miles in, like, 2 hours, like, whatever it
Yes.
was, and I just was like, "I'm so sorry, I feel like I'm dying," and I was saying that, like, the last mile, and then we were talking right up until we got to our car doors, and it was just like, "Yeah." And then, like and then once I got home, I was like, "That was so weird." I've never acted that weird before, but now we do that on a regular basis,
Are
so
you trying to say I do? You're like, "I never acted that weird before." So much to you.
yeah. No.
Whatever, I'm gonna log off and go eat my wiener sandwich.
Are you kidding me right now? Yeah, I bet you are. In your XL lingerie, like, "I'm gonna go have a wiener sandwich." And that's how she has 7 kids. How the tables have turned, huh? Okay,
Oh, alright.
I my son was eating a hot dog yesterday, and he
She
called
doesn't get to explain herself. That's it, just leave it for them to figure it out themselves.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's
Just kidding.
yeah,
You can explain
no,
yourself.
my husband's home, so I'm gonna go have a wing sandwich. Just kidding. What? He's just making some hot dogs. Just kidding. My son was eating a hot dog yesterday, and he looks at Shanna's daughter and goes, "Look, it's a wiener sandwich." And I was like, "Grayson, You can't call it a wiener sandwich, and Shanna walked up, like, right when I was saying wiener sandwich. She was like, "Oh, is that what you call it?" And I was like, "I swear I didn't make it up." But it did look like I was the one calling it that towards a couple of kids.
Yes.
So,
And it makes me laugh so hard because 'cause I'll never
it
look at a
was
hot dog the same.
I know, it's forever gonna be called that in my head too.
Yes.
But also, I like, this person's gonna say it forever now too.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh.
I feel like we should end this before I say something else stupid.
Okay, bye.